Okay, I think we'll make a start. Maybe some more people joining in the next few minutes, but let's kick off anyway. So morning everybody. Rob Burrell and Graham Fern here from Axon. So just a quick recap. So this is the third webinar in a series of 6 every Friday at 11. So 2 weeks ago, we covered the virtual office and everything you need to consider for long-term or even permanent home working. Last week, we covered Microsoft Teams, communication. So it was all around Office 365 portal, chat, etc. As we all know, excuse me, Teams has exploded in recent times. So back in March, when we went into lockdown, there were around 45 million active Teams users globally in SME companies like ourselves. And then a month later, at the end of April, there were nearly 80 million active Teams users. So it nearly doubled in 1 month. So quite an amazing stat, really. Today we're going to build on last week's webinar, so we're providing more tips today on Teams again, focusing on collaboration. We're aiming really to give you a full picture on using Teams for all your communication, collaboration, and even using Teams as a business telephone system. So future webinars, so still to come after today, we've got a webinar on Microsoft Dynamics CRM, and then we'll wrap up the series with probably the most important topic really, which is security, especially as most of us are obviously remote working, home working. So we'll discuss what's available in terms of solutions to fully secure your Office 365 environment and protect your business from the ever-increasing external threats, but also the internal threat, which is you guys, which is staff, because mistakes happen. So it's our job to show you some best practice, really. So I'll hand over to Graham in a mo. There'll be time for questions at the end, so we'll ask you to stay on mute during the presentation itself. You can ask questions in the chat window, or raise a hand if anything urgent, if you've got a comment or a question. So if you hover down towards the bottom of your screen, a taskbar will pop up where you'll see raise your hand, or there's actually a chat window, there's a conversation window which I've just put a morning message in to start us off. So right, thank you. I'll hand over to Graham.
Thank you, Rob. So morning, everyone. Hi. I've got my camera on, obviously, as you can see me. I will be scanning left and right as I've got multiple screens and all sorts of equipment around me in order to facilitate today's session. You will see a screen in front of you at the moment, which is a PowerPoint holding slide. It's going to be very interactive, so I'm going to be doing a lot of demonstration in effectively a sample Office 365 tenant. With fictitious data in there. There will be probably times where I will slide across our real live system that we use day in, day out, only because there are limitations of the demonstration system that I have access to. As Rob said, if you've got any questions, pose them in the chat window. As we go along, Rob will try and silently answer those if he can. If they're important enough, he'll interrupt me, and I'll try and answer at that point. Otherwise, we'll try and collate them towards the end, if you please. Okay, so as time is of the essence here, we're here to talk about collaborate or collaboration. 3 main ones at the moment. As Rob said, we've done communicate. We did the virtual office, then we've done communicate, now collaborate, and then integrate. And that's all around Office 365. So next week will be integration. And then we'll talk about CRM product, and then we'll talk about security. But this is the focus. What I want to point out on this one slide, which is really in the background, there are bits of what I will talk about today, which I kind of talked about last week and will also talk about next week. And that's the point. This system is joined up, and therefore my Venn diagram in the background and overlapping circles explains that logic. So these aren't standalone topics, they're overlapping topics. So please bear in mind, I will either build on something I discussed last week, and I might even dip my toe into stuff that we'll be talking about next week, but that cannot be helped by the very nature of the product and how it works together. Okay, but as I said, we're going to focus on collaboration and using the products that are available. Obviously, I don't know everyone on this call, but those, some of which I do, I know the majority of you have Office 365 or its latest incarnation called Microsoft 365. And therefore, what I'm talking about here and everything I show you is available to you. Okay, and I'll put a caveat on that. Just it depends on the license you have. So there could be a chance that I show something that might not be under your subscription, but I would say 75% of what I show today will be included in what you have already. Okay, so now it's time to get real and as ever, start to hit on a demonstration as ever. So let's end the show. And I will probably at this point, just to save my head swinging around, not really looking at the camera, is bring my camera offline now as well. Okay, so you will see in front of you an Office 365 landing page. This should be familiar to you. If it isn't, you're missing out on the product that you pay for. Okay, it is web-based. It is in nerd speak, what's called a software as a service. It's accessible through a web browser. As you can see, I'm using a web browser here, Microsoft Edge web browser in this case. I'm using it on an Apple Mac by chance, not that it really matters. So a web browser is what's required and a computer is what's required and an internet connection, which really means I could use an iPad, I could use an Android tablet, I could use an Android phone, I could use an iPhone. Granted, using an iPhone wouldn't be a pleasant experience if I were to run the whole of this demonstration on a phone. So here we are, faced with a landing screen. I'm going to play the game of being two people. At the moment, I'm logged on as if you like an administrator of an Office 365 system. I'm just going to swipe my finger up here and I'm going to bring up the fact that I have a second desktop. And when I flip to this desktop, and I apologize, this gets quite busy. As I flip to this desktop here, I am actually now Megan. I'm pretending to be Megan on a Friday morning. Okay, so I literally will be moving between two desktops where I will play two different people and role play so you can see things working. Okay, it's important you understand that because otherwise you're going to go, what the heck is going on? I'll try to make it clear as I go along. Right, let's just start with this home page because we're talking about how people can collaborate with one another. Well, the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on here and talk about all applications. There's a big arrow here called all applications. Okay, now most people have never clicked that button or explored effectively what you pay for. What you see in this screen is dependent on what you are effectively paying Microsoft for, but I'm going to highlight some of the things that are of interest, okay, in terms of enhancing the collaboration in your team. And the very first one I'm going to hit on is this product called Delve. Again, a product very rarely seen or used by people, okay? So I'm going to open that up just in another tab at the top here. And this produces a screen somewhat like this. This works on a mobile phone. It's obviously a smaller screen, but the same principles apply. And in here is what is happening inside the business in real time. Okay, files that are changing that you're entitled to see. So you're not going to see next month's wage run in here unless you work as the FD and the finance manager and so forth. So security is maintained. It is purely only what you're allowed to see. So you start to get trending documentation, things that are happening around the business and what is changing. It feeds information to you based upon machine learning. So it knows, and we're all familiar with this. I mean, we've all used Facebook and we know that largely everything we do online is tracked, traced and so forth. And everyone knows what adverts to push to you. So this is a kind of internal process that knows what security groups you're in, what areas you work in, what departments you work in, what projects you work on, and it starts to feed information to you. Okay, so here I am as the administrator and I've got Megan, the person, my alter ego that I described earlier. Okay, and I can actually click on Megan and I can actually see what Megan is working on. And interestingly, Megan is working on the document that actually was shown on the home page here. Megan today modified the Consulto pet policy. Okay, and I'm actually going to go ahead and drive down that road in a moment, plus others. These are the people that Megan works with, rightly or wrongly, but this is who this person works with, their circle of people that they work with. Okay, so you start to build up a picture of what the collaboration in your team, in your business looks like. Obviously, I've got all the information about the person, I've got the organizational structure, who they report to, and all the people I've got, my most frequent people that I deal with down the left-hand side. I have to say at this point here, depending on license, you might see my analytics. And what this does is it starts to bring up data on your behavior. This is a fictitious person. Okay, so therefore we're not going to get any fantastic information. But what I've managed to do under my alter ego, Megan, is go to Delve. Okay, so I'm now logged on as Megan. There's me. Shows that I did that, but also shows that the other person I was has edited that document. But I'm going to click on my analytics as Megan, and it starts to tell me things that are going on. My availability focus, my quiet days, my network, who I collaborate with, what my habits are with collaboration. And I can actually drive down to see what my collaboration is, what my attendance is. This is all private to me. Okay, and I can see my habits and my collaboration behaviors amongst the team. Interesting in the fact we are just talking about that subject and it's bringing that information together. I could bring mine up and it brings up realistic information on my behaviors, okay, and what I do in meetings, whether I'm focusing during meetings. It knows if I'm sending messages or replying to emails whilst I'm in meetings, and it starts to suggest my meetings aren't very productive. So good old Delve looks like a product that no one pays any interest to, but actually gives you a massive view of what is actually happening inside the business, okay, from a bird's eye view. And to get to information very quickly, because of course I can just search for things, okay, search for people, search for documents. So let's just go back to the home page though, and I'm going to search. Well, so I've already got it in there, so you know I've prearranged this. I've typed pet and it's brought up the Consulto pet policy, and it's found other documents with the word PET in. So I'm just going to click on that. Okay, it's going to open up the policy in a Word document. No surprise. Notice I am doing this. Oh, it says, oh, whilst you're away, someone else made some changes. Okay, so that's good, right? And it's actually telling me the little blue dot. There's been an edit there. And if I hover my mouse at the end of animals, all I did was delete a clear space. I haven't actually changed much. Okay, but I'm doing this in a web browser. I've not opened full Word. Okay, not in the least. So let me go now and be the administrator. I'm going to go back and I'm going to type the same thing in here. And I click on the same document. So I am now basically two people in the same document. I've got a red line here, and Megan is also in the document. I'm in the document, so is Megan. We are now also working in collaboration in a document. We can communicate with one another. We all know we've got Teams and we can send instant messages and so forth. So now I'm going to try and give you what this actually looks like side by side. So apologies here. This is perhaps a little busy, but it will at least show. So I'm going to drag this document into one screen. I'm going to put this to one side, and I'm going to put this other one to the other side, and then I'll explain what I've done. On the left, I am the administrator. On the right, I am Megan. So I am Megan. I'm going to type something. And I can't even spell, and the spell checker is working on both sides. Okay, so even as the administrator now, I can correct Megan's spelling mistakes. Okay, there you go. It's edited it, and it's telling Megan on the right that I've changed something. Okay, so we can see we are in real-time editing with people who could be anywhere. It could be a global company, you could all be sat in the same office. It's an irrelevance. I'm doing this online. I could do this on my iPad, I could do it on my iPhone, it would still work all the same. Okay, no difference in this behavior between the two. People will naturally at this point go, well, that's a bit scary because heck, you could have lots of people changing the document at once. Well, yes, approximately 12 to 15 people in theory can be in the document at the same time, but the system is tracking every change. So no fear. So if I go into the information, I can go to the version history and I can see who's changed it when. And I can go just now, 42 minutes ago, or go back in time. And I can see all those changes. So I can roll forwards and backwards in the life of this document to my heart's content. It will store the last 500 changes and just keep going. You can increase that number to whatever you want, 1,000, 5,000 if you really want to, depending on how quickly the document changes. So no fear of anything being lost. It's all track changed. Great. This is not the same as track changes. Versioning is different. You can still enable that in Word and do it in this manner here. Okay, so hopefully that just gives you an idea of how you can collaborate. So I'm just going to drag that so I've got my two desktops back. I'll just close that document down. So we can collaborate in real time across all Microsoft documentation. Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You can do this in the desktop version of Word. You can do it in the desktop version of Excel, or the web-based version, or the mobile versions. They all do the same thing. Okay. I'm encouraging people to think about using the web-based version on the very premise of how easy is that. There's nothing to install. I just walk up to a computer and I can work. Okay, so let's just keep going down this route. We've looked at Delve. We can Excel, Word, I've already talked about, so they're all collaborative, as we've said. What about making forms then? Okay, in a team of people, creating interactive forms and making them public, okay, in the business. So I can build a question form, add a description. Do I want to put choices in? Now, I want to make it a theme. I want to give it some sort of theme. The background, what do I want it to look like? Okay, what's it going to look like on a computer? What's it going to look like on a mobile phone? Okay, so I can very, very quickly, I mean, I'm sure this doesn't, everyone can see here, this isn't complicated. Okay, I can just build forms straight away, and even I can branch out and have the, if this equals that, then go to the next point. Okay. So I can build a form that quickly, and then I can track the responses. Okay, I can publish this form, share the form. Where can I share the form? Well, I could put it in Teams. I could put it on a web page. I could post it all sorts of places. Okay, anyone could respond to this form, so I could make it publicly available. Collaboration. I mean, let's be honest, if you know what the form is and you know the questions you want to ask, you probably build this in 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You have this available to you. Okay, pretty straightforward stuff, again, really. So you can build these up very, very, very quickly, chuck in a theme, make it look pretty, as I said, and we're good to go either way. Okay, so Microsoft Forms, you all have Microsoft Forms, irrespective of your license. Let's look at Kazilla. Something, again, most people go, what the heck? Never heard of this. And does this fit every business for everyone on this call? Unlikely, but it might fit some. Basically, this is WhatsApp, and it's really designed for businesses who maybe have a highly mobile workforce, who are not computer users but are carrying around mobile phones, and you want to have field communication without having to install WhatsApp on every corporate computer. Okay, so it is effectively the same principle, okay, where you can create a chat facility and basically just have instant chat. I mean, what can I say to you? It's WhatsApp for your business, but just think about how it might fit in the collaboration game. Is if I've got, I don't know, let's just say I've got people going out fitting boilers, gas boilers. and I want to be able to send them, your next meeting, where are you, whatever. The integration is pretty good here. Okay, for Kazilla, it is a good collaboration tool for certain scenarios. If I have all Office-based users, it's rather pointless because you've got Teams and you can already communicate. But if I've got field staff who you don't want to have Teams and everything else installed on their mobile phone, all you've got here is an app that can be downloaded from the App Store, and you can message people just in the same way from your desktop in the office straight to people in the field, wherever they be. So just another collaboration tool within your arsenal that you can engage with your staff. Okay, so carrying on this journey, OneDrive, everyone knows what OneDrive is, or I really hope you do. You're all afforded a vast amount of storage space, 1 terabyte each, to store business-related brackets personal data. Obviously, most people probably have figured out that you can store information in here and share information in here across a team, both internally and externally. Okay, and I can just make stuff available depending on the permissions that a business allows. Okay, lots of choices in here. Some businesses will lock this down so they can't just send information outside the business. Others might encourage that. Okay, but the point is collaboration. So I could just send people within the business, allow them to review it, don't let them download. So if we take this, you can set all sorts of expiration dates, okay, set passwords if you want, if you're going to allow external access. But again, collaboration wise, why the heck are you sending attachments in emails? I'll leave that question hanging. You're a self-fulfilling prophecy to slowing your internet connection down if you're sending 5 meg attachments to everybody, okay? Particularly if the person's in the same office as you, because it's going outside your internet line, then back up your internet line. And if you're sending it to someone's mobile phone, they'll love you because they've got to download that file. These are links, there's nothing to download, okay? The data stays safe and secure in OneDrive, nothing leaves the safety and sanctity of the encrypted platform. So I'm not going to dwell on OneDrive because I'm going to believe most people know that product and know that they can do this. OneNote, another tool frequently overlooked. This is your old Filofax gone mad, extraordinarily powerful. And I do really mean that. It is an extremely powerful tool. Now, you can create OneNote files and have them individual. So I can have my own. I've just created one only recently, just before this here. And I can create my own notebooks. I'm doing this online. There is a desktop application in here, as well as a web-based application. And I can build a notebook up as I so wish. Okay. It is possible for those that have the right equipment to draw, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so I can use pens and scribble away, or I can capture information from all sorts of locations, copy and paste, obviously, just write my notes in however I feel. Okay, and you build it up to your structure. Well, that's great. It's a nice scrapbook, an online digital scrapbook. And let me just take this and I will just throw this up on screen. I'm going to bring up my iPad here, and I apologize. There is a chance that some people on this call might not see this, my iPad being shown here. So let me just, so this is basically my OneNote for real. And what I'll do, just to make things a little bit more confusing, as it were, just bring across my OneNote, my real one. He says, oh, there it is. So here it is. I apologize, this is a little busy, but you hopefully will get the idea. I have OneNote, you have my screen on the right, and I appreciate it's dark. I'm just going to type something or write something. And I'm going to do this with my iPad, with my pen. And you'll notice Hello World has appeared. But on my desktop application, Hello World has already appeared. Okay, so the screen that's slightly in the background, the bigger one with lots more information in, that is on my actual PC. The one at the bottom right is actually my iPad. Okay, so OneNote is a very, very powerful tool. You know, you can scribble, you can capture audio, video, you name it. And guess what? Share it. So who do I want to send a copy to? This is from my iPad. So I can capture information and share information really, really quickly. Okay, just stop that. Bring this back. Okay, so OneNote, fair enough, but let's go to our trusty Teams. Okay, well, if I go to Teams, I can actually add a OneNote file into Teams and now make the notebook. Okay, so I can now create a new notebook. There is actually already one created, but I'm just going to have another one. Design Team Notes. Save it. And arguably this overlaps into the integration. Okay, and now I've got those notes in Teams, and how many seconds did that take? Which is accessible to everyone who can access the team. So now I might have meetings, you know, meeting on every Friday and have all the meeting notes, keep a log of them all. I could actually make these available by inviting someone external, maybe a customer, into my team, and they would be able to see the notes. So you could have account management meeting notes and make them transparent with your customer. Just thoughts. Okay, so when we take the whole of this product set so far, yeah, we've just got to OneNote, another massive collaboration tool. And you saw me using a pen there. That was actually on an iPad. Okay, I will just show you, and I will come to another product. But if you don't have a machine that hasn't got a snazzy pen, then it's not a problem, because it's possible to turn any machine into, and if you notice here underneath my desk, I have a tablet and a drawing pen, so I can turn my regular computer into an ability to use electronic pen and use a product called Whiteboard and OneNote and scribble in Words, scribble in PDFs, scribble in OneNotes across the whole suite. So you can expand that functionality very, very quickly. And that I think that tablet was about £55 that I've got on there. So I basically turn my laptop into a machine that I can scribble on. I don't need to talk to anyone about Outlook particularly, but it's we all know what we can do from Outlook. That's fine. I will just point out that the ability to get to people's calendars in here, which is a frequent thing for collaboration, okay, is very, very easy. Okay, I'm again doing this in the web-based version of it. Okay, and I can just add someone from the directory. Just type in Megan. Okay, I could add it to people's calendars. I'll do that. There you go. That's how easy that was. And there you go. I've got Megan's calendar in there as well. Okay, so I can very, very quickly bring information together. Very, very simply. So again, I'm collaborating with my team. So let's go back to where we started. I'm not going to talk any more about Outlook, but that's how easy that is. Planner. Okay, next along, a lot of little applications here, but these are all tools that are going to help you collaborate. I don't know how many people use this or have used it. It is going to get upgraded shortly. It's going to become lists. Planner's been around a while. It's not bad. It's probably equivalent of Asana, Trello equivalent. Perhaps not quite as good as those products, but when lists come along, Microsoft as ever have to be under pressure with the competitive nature of the marketplace, and so Planner will become lists to keep up with the competition. Let's just have a look at Planner anyway. So we can have lots of plans. Okay, it says there's an app for it. Of course there is. Okay, we can see in here there are a number of plans. I'm just going to click on IT and operations. And in here we have, as it shows, effectively a planning board. Okay, organized into buckets. I have 16, well, 20 people plus the 16 in here, all the members of said group. It is grouped by, and I can change everything, who it's assigned to, and I can filter things, anything that's unassigned, due dates, etc. I can assign these to people. Yeah, all pretty much the get things done type logic and methodologies in here. This all does tie into Outlook, okay, and is accessible on the right hand side. You've got a little tick box up here. So even if I'm in my inbox, I can actually come up here, click on this, and it will actually feature in here all of your to-do list planner stuff. Okay, there is also a tick box down here, and this is a demo tenant, so it's not populating with everything we will see for real, but I'm just going to click on this, and it brings everything together. All of the stuff given to you is logged into here. This works on your iPhone, your Android phone, your tablet, your desktop machine, the list goes on and on. Okay, so I actually have a view on my actual computer of all of my tasks I have. Okay, and there you go, that's for real. Okay, all the stuff that's been assigned to me. Okay, everything that's in here that I've got to do. I can click on this and it says open in Planner. So I've got my collaboration going amongst everybody within the business. So you have Planner, not difficult to add a task. Yeah, just do something. All I have to do is add task. That's it. Okay, then I can click on it and I can start assigning it to someone. Megan. Okay, it's in progress. It's quite important. It's a maintenance thing. Give a description. Show that on the card. I could put checklists in. So on. Add attachments. Job done. Okay. If I own this, I can invite people in and I can add more and more people and collaborate. I can see all my charts if I want to see it. I can see where things sit on the calendar. I have a whole bunch of stuff in here. I can actually pin all of this calendar information into my Outlook if I really want to, the actual calendar as well. There you go, add plan to Outlook calendar if you really want to. So Planner, another fairly big product actually, if we want to take it from that collaboration point of view. I'm going to skip over things such as Power Apps and Power Automate for next week. Power BI, again, is another big product. I kind of hope most people are aware it exists. Businesses love to share Excel files around with pie charts in them. Okay, this is the latest iteration of how you do share information around. So instead of actually, let's see if I've actually got any data in here. Yeah, there we go. So this is reading data from some form of data source, it might be Excel, and presenting it into the nice area, and we can then filter this and it will dynamically change. As you can see, the information is changing. Key thing is these dashboards are, of course, shareable. You could embed them into Teams. Okay, we go back to our good old Teams bit here and we add in, guess what, Power BI. So I can put sales figures in here. I could put whatever, your phone system, calls waiting. I don't know. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. You're limited largely by imagination. If the data exists, it can be visualized. So you're not throwing Excel files around to each other and then worrying who's changing the Excel file or makes a mess of things. Guess what? Works on a mobile phone. So again, Power BI, extremely powerful, as it says, actionable, dynamic and engaging data dashboards you can share with others. So pretty cool. Wow. Okay. So we're kind of gone to nearly 40 minutes in. We're getting towards the end of things here. Probably gladly for some of you thinking, heck. PowerPoint. Okay. One of the things people don't realize that built into PowerPoint is there is actually a broadcast facility. So it is possible for you to, without any of the fancy stuff we're talking here, to launch a PowerPoint and to broadcast it. Okay. It is possible to do. So if I, again, bear in mind, I'm just doing this all in a web browser, okay? And I think it's under slideshow, and I can even rehearse with a coach, and I can broadcast this out straight to the world, okay? And you can just give people a link and off they go. They don't need anything, just a web browser. You give them the link, they go to the web browser, and they see the PowerPoint show. Simple as that. So even good old boring PowerPoint has the facility to collaborate internally and externally with that on its own as a complete standalone product. SharePoint. We've all heard of SharePoint again, I would imagine. It's all part of the Office 365 suite. It is nicely hidden away in Teams under Files these days. If you're a big user of it, okay, this is actually what it is using. It says open in SharePoint here. So you can mix and match. Some companies still using SharePoint, and quite rightly so. Others can just use it all within Teams. Others can do a mix and match, and there's good reasons to choose any of those routes. What I just want to point out in this demo tenant, notwithstanding there is Teams, but embedded into this Consoto Electronics actually is a link to a SharePoint site, okay, with information in here, yeah, where they've built up effectively a SharePoint site. So you're not limited to just Teams. Of course, your whole collaboration front could be Teams, could be the communication and collaboration of the working documentation. But what about the standing, the ethos, the culture, the business stuff? Could exist in SharePoint? And of course, you can collaborate in that. And of course, you can bring external people into SharePoint as well, all safely and securely. So again, a lot of features that you have in SharePoint. And look, let's be honest, I'm showing you all of these things pretty rapidly. They all exist. They all probably need a bit of tweaking, a little bit of implementation, a bit of thought, but the process is the fact you already have this product, and it's just about honing it into what you want the business to do with them. So I'm showing you, perhaps as people within a business, all of the tools you have available. Okay, Stream. Most of you will have Stream. Stream is your own private video YouTube service. Now, there is a limitation to Stream, is you can't share externally, but internally you can. So basically you can create channels just as you would in YouTube, and you embed videos in here. Okay, and you can see a whole bunch of videos in here, just like you would on YouTube. Click play. But again, maybe more for next week, we can integrate in here because there's a button that says stream. But if I go back into here, there is a share button in here. Okay, I can embed things. So I can embed videos into SharePoint sites, all sorts, into web pages. I can email it to people if I want to, bring them to the content. So again, another fantastic media-rich interactive approach to collaboration. And it is a fact today that people like videos. We know that, otherwise YouTube wouldn't be so popular. Okay, people prefer to watch a video on something than they do to read a manual. So you're pretty much, most of you on this call probably already have Stream, but probably haven't thought about filling it with useful information and then bringing the team to it and embedding it in places to make it collaborative. Microsoft Sway, another one of these products. Everyone goes, I've no idea what that is. I didn't even know it existed. Don't dismiss it, please. Absolutely do not. It's quite an interesting tool. Again, I'm just going to rapidly click on this. Sway has no desktop application. It allows you to create, as it suggests in here, such things as newsletters, how-tos, business presentations. There's a whole load of templates you can do straight off the bat, okay, with limited skill. And to be honest, guess what? Go to YouTube. There are 10 official Microsoft videos. They're all about 2 minutes, 30 seconds long. By the time you've watched those 10, within half an hour, you'll know how to use this product. But it's not complicated. It's all web-based. Now, you might think, wow, so what, you know? Well, let's just click on this. This is how long it takes to start getting into Sway. So I've just clicked on the template. It's building my Sway, and everything from here is pretty much drag and drop. Okay, it's very, very simple. I'm not going to go into how to use it today. Okay, but you know, you can choose the design, the styles you want to have, so forth. Pretty good, really. Going to go back to the storyline, but I'll just click play so you can see this is what it will look like to the recipient of it. And I haven't done anything, have I? I've not put any content in either, so of course it's pretty blank. But you get the fact that it's pretty interactive, really, considering this is just off a template. So you'd need to fill it with content. But here we go. Here's the bit that matters. Share it. People within the organization, specific people, anyone. Okay, so I can send this to anyone on the planet, okay, via whatever method I want. Instant message, WhatsApp, email, don't care. Get that link, copy it, thank you. Put it in something, done. It will render on any device on the planet. So if the screen is small, it will sort it out. You don't have to worry about it. So as a quick demonstration, if I just all of a sudden magically resize this, it goes away and figures out how it's going to fit on that size of screen. Okay, so that's an interesting concept, because if this were, let's say, some sort of presentation or sales orientated presentation, then actually you know that this might be read on someone's phone, and they're not going to be doing pinch to zoom. It's just going to work. There's no file. This is a hard concept for people to get their head around, because you're just sending them a link. It just remains all online. There is no file sitting anywhere. The only thing it's doing is anything you create sits in your bucket of sways that you have. Okay, so again, a massive collaborative tool, in my opinion. So Microsoft Sway. Tasks, we kind of covered that. Teams, we've talked a lot about, and collaboration wise, I could spend an hour just talking about this product in its own. Okay, I don't really need to point out to anyone the collaborative nature of this product, because I am bringing my communication we discussed last week. Oh, this is an interesting one. Here, I mean, this is in, I don't even know, obviously some sort of simplified Chinese at a guess, I don't know. But look, if I click on this, there you go, straight away instant translation in a web browser. But I'm also bringing together all my files. Okay, you saw the fact that we can bring in other information in here. Okay, and that's just a document. You saw me bring in the OneNote. Okay, so collaboration goes mad realistically when we talk about using Teams. So it's fair to say Teams glues all of this stuff together. Okay, that's what it does. Okay, let me kind of get to the point of, and then I'll start wrapping up, because I always promise to finish under an hour, is to talk about Whiteboard. Okay, now Whiteboard is available as an application on a Windows 10 device. It's an application on iPads and iPhones and Android tablets. It's also a web application, and you saw my drawing tablet that I talked about earlier. It is possible to have interactive whiteboards as well. It's also possible, some people might have noticed this, and I'm just going to bring the Teams application that we're using to run this meeting. Sorry, Neil, hello. But if I click on the three dots, sorry, not the three dots, have to end to stop the sharing, so I won't do it. But if I click the stop sharing, one of the options I'll get on this when I do reshare is to launch a whiteboard, and it sits under here, but I'd have to stop the sharing in order to get to it. Okay, so the whiteboard is actually part of Microsoft Teams web conferencing as well. So whiteboard, again, I suppose we were really into a different area for some people, okay, because we're not used to scribbling on computer screens. Someone that's perhaps got a Microsoft Surface Pro and it comes with a pen, that's very nice and easy. Otherwise, you're going to need some sort of add-ons because you can't really easily draw with a mouse, okay. But nevertheless, it's a collaborative tool. And if you really want to go fancy, there is something called a Microsoft Surface Hub, which is a huge, I think 58 or 84-inch screen you can have, which has pens, and it's like a teacher's whiteboard that you might have, and that's embedded into it, and you can have Microsoft Teams meetings with interactive whiteboards. Pretty powerful stuff. More group meeting as well. Okay, wow. So that's all the stuff in Office 365 that I've run through, to be perfectly frank and honest. I haven't dropped into any massive detail, but to allude to you that the collaboration opportunity within the product that you are paying for is quite substantial. To a lesser or greater degree, there'll be bits in this that'll be good takeaways for certain people. Okay, for certain areas, I appreciate you're not going to go away and use all of this because there is huge overlap in some of them as well. What I also need to bring in, which will come into probably next week, is that it is possible to extend, and where it says all apps in here, when I come to next week, you will actually start to see in our applications as Axon is I have third-party external applications embedded into here, not just Microsoft ones. So I have Twitter available to me. So I can go to Twitter without knowing what the username and password is and log on to the Axon Twitter account, and it will sign me in. I can also access lots of other third-party systems without actually knowing where the system is or any of the actual details of how to get on it. But that's going to come into my integration conversation next Friday. Wow, deep breath. Let me just do a quick recap. The whole purpose of today was to talk about how to collaborate and the tools that are available to you. There are too many for me to succinctly go over in the remaining time, but it's fair to say that screen that you see in front of you indicates there are a lot of tools, and every one of the tools, when you go into them, is built from the ground up to collaborate, and they all work in real time across multiple devices with multiple people using them at the same time. So I'm not actually quite sure if you could get collaboration much better than what is offered by those applications. Then you take the whole product, and as we said, my introduction was that Venn diagram of communication, collaboration, and next week we will then throw in the integration, because the world is not flat. The world is not just Microsoft. There are other things out there. There are other products people use, but heck, why can't we bring it into one pane of glass and make it look slick for the end user and easy for the end user? So there we go. That's 50 minutes pretty much on the dot. To allow for any questions, if you've got a question, either raise your hand, please, or come off mute, and I'll let Rob field the next portion.
Great. Thanks, Graham. Yeah, so just to recap on next week, as Graham said, we're on Teams integration. So how some of these powerful apps can be integrated into Teams, but also, as mentioned, some third-party apps, so Asana for project management as an example. And then we move on to business applications, so Microsoft Dynamics for CRM the week after. And then we finish off with security, which is a whole sort of topic on its own. You'll get more information, obviously, over the next week or so on these. So we can wrap up today now. So yeah, please feel free to either raise a hand or pop a message or question into the chat window. And then feel free to drop off as and when you want to. If no questions, we'll stay online for a bit here. and if anything pops up over the coming weeks, then please feel free to contact me at Axon. Thank you.